an abomination to the sport of basketball. They are an absolute joke.
And I'm here to tell you, it is not a good moment in the fan base. A lot of people are starting to look like they're reselling their All-Star tickets.
Angel Reese just took major heat after her latest WNBA All-Star stunt backfired in a big way.
You gotta be kidding me. She flashed a few assists and you want her bringing the ball up the court?
As the league geared up for what should have been a blockbuster weekend, Reese launched her Reebok I'm in Your City campaign, right in Caitlin Clark's hometown. But with Clark sidelined due to injury, ticket prices plunged by 48%, fan interest tanked, and social media lit up with criticism.
This is not the only player in the WNBA who has ever gotten visibly upset over something.
Many saw Reese's move as a forced, one-sided rivalry play that completely flopped without the main attraction in the building.
We got what most people believe is the #1 MVP candidate, right?
While every WNBA star was locked in and laser-focused on delivering a show under the all-star lights, Angel Reese seemed to have a different playbook. It wasn't about her game or performance. It was about a billboard, a slogan, a Reebok campaign.
Caitlin Clark received 1.3 million All-Star votes this year, the top 30 vote getters in 2023.
While others were prepping for basketball glory, Reese was in full promo mode, dropping her walk in your trap, take over your trap rollout like she was the main event, right in Caitlin Clark's city, no less.
So the game averaged 1.3 million viewers. It peaked at 1.6 million, and this was up 13% over last year's regular season ESPN average for WNBA game.
The catch? Clark wasn't playing. With the star sidelined, the arena's energy fizzled. And what was supposed to be Reese's power move ended up feeling more like a missed note than a mic drop.
You were going to have a hard time stopping that and winning that game. By the way, this is some absurd bullshit, all right?
The WNBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis was meant to be a game changer, the moment the league finally broke into the mainstream. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, center stage, in front of a sold-out hometown crowd that had circled the date for months. And it wasn't just the fans who were locked in. Big-name sponsors were all over it. Nike had limited edition drops ready. ESPN was primed with non-stop coverage. Social media was on fire with non-stop Clark versus Reese takes. Corporate dollars were already invested, all banking on one thing, that Caitlin Clark would show up and light the arena up. But just days before tip-off, everything changed. The headline hit, Caitlin Clark was out. A lingering groin injury had flared up, sidelining the league's biggest draw. And that one announcement sent shockwaves through the entire weekend. Ticket prices didn't just dip. They nosedived. From $121 to $64 almost overnight, a staggering 48% drop. What was set to be the priciest All-Star game in WNBA history suddenly lost its spark. And here's where things took a turn. While fans were let down and local businesses braced for a hit, Angel Reese saw something different, a prime marketing moment. Right as the news of Clark's injury broke, Angel Reese launched her new signature shoe campaign with Reebok, and she did it in bold fashion. Not just anywhere, but right in Indianapolis. Billboards plastered with "Walk in your trap, take over your trap" went up across Caitlin Clark's city, even though Clark couldn't suit up. And sure, the confidence is part of Reese's brand. But without Clark on the court, the whole rollout felt hollow. The energy was off. Because let's be real, you're not taking over a trap if the person you're calling out isn't even there. That's not a rivalry moment, that's a solo performance. And the fans noticed. Her pop-up event? Maybe 15 people showed up. That's what happens when the real draw isn't in the building. It didn't feel like a rivalry. It felt like a solo act in front of a crowd that wasn't buying in. And the contrast was hard to ignore. This weekend was supposed to be a turning point for women's basketball, the spark for a rivalry that could carry the league for years. But with Clark sidelined, Reese's campaign didn't hit like a headline. It came off more like a hijack. What made it worse? Everyone knew the impact Caitlin Clark had. The league knew, the sponsors knew, the fans definitely knew. That 48% ticket plunge, from $121 to $64 in a matter of hours, said it all. You don't see a drop like that unless one player is carrying the weight of the entire event. But instead of adjusting or pulling back, Angel Reese doubled down, full steam ahead, like nothing had changed. Like the rivalry was still burning, even though the other half wasn't even on the court. And let's be honest, this isn't Clark versus Reese anymore. Because Caitlin Clark has never actually played into it. No shots fired, no jabs thrown, just buckets. She lets her game do the talking, and the numbers speak louder than any billboard ever could. Meanwhile, Reese keeps pushing the rivalry narrative, even if she's doing it solo. And fans notice. They know what's real. They can feel when something's genuine, and when someone's just chasing a headline. So let's just call it what it is. This rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, it's fake, manufactured, one-sided. And honestly, at this point, it's starting to feel more awkward than entertaining. Because here's the thing, Caitlin Clark never even entered the chat. No shade, no clapbacks, not even a side-eye aimed at Angel Reese. She stayed quiet, focused on basketball, and let her game speak. Meanwhile, Reese has been in full WWE promo mode, name-dropping Clark in interviews, podcasts, promos, anytime there's a mic nearby. She's only 3 episodes into her podcast and Clark's already the unofficial co-host. Not because she's a guest, but because her name won't stop coming up. At this point, it's not even beef, it's just noise. And social media picked up on it fast. They weren't buying the act, and people called it exactly what it was, clout chasing dressed up as competitive fire. Because at some point, fans start asking, why are you still talking about her? This isn't Clark versus Reese. It's Reese versus the shadow of Clark, and the shadow's winning. And that's what really stings. Caitlin doesn't even need to respond. She just plays. And when she's not playing, the silence is louder than any promo. So is the crash in interest. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie, even when social media does. The moment Caitlin Clark announced she was out of the All-Star game, ticket prices tanked, down 48% almost instantly. And this wasn't some fluke. Earlier this season, when she missed road games, same pattern. Prices dropped 47% in Washington and a staggering 71% in Chicago. That's not coincidence. That's market validation. That's Clark Economics 101. Meanwhile, Angel Reese was front and center, doing the press tours, walking the tunnels, unveiling her new Reebok shoe. She had the billboard. She had the Instagram captions. But what she didn't have was the crowd, because without Clark, she couldn't fill the void. And fans just didn't show up the same. And the brands knew it too. Nike, ESPN, even the league itself. The entire All-Star weekend was built around one name. Not Reese, not Boston, not Wilson. It was Caitlin Clark. She was the engine behind the hype, the face that had sponsors pouring real money into the WNBA. And when you pull her out of the picture, the excitement didn't just dip. It completely deflated. The second the news broke about Clark's injury, the vibe shifted. Restaurants started seeing cancellations. Bars that were ready for packed viewing parties ended up with empty seats. Downtown Indy felt like it was gearing up for a parade that never came. That buzz, that electric atmosphere, gone, like it was never there to begin with. And sure, Reebok's campaign might have worked somewhere else, maybe in Chicago, maybe in Baton Rouge, but in Caitlin Clark's city, while she was injured and couldn't even step on the court, it felt off, like Reese was trying to plant a flag in someone else's yard when they weren't even home. That's not dominance. That's just bad timing. Even the arena vendors took a hit. Fewer fans meant fewer drinks sold, fewer jerseys bought, less money moving, everywhere. One player's absence flipped the entire weekend on its head. That's not just star power, that's economic gravity. And that's the part everyone keeps glossing over. This wasn't just about who's better on the court, this was about who moves the needle, who fills arenas, who makes people fly into Indiana and shell out over $100 just to be able to say, I was there. And when Caitlin Clark couldn't show up, the market answered loud and clear. Cool. Then neither are we. Now let's talk about those protest shirts. WNBA All-Stars walking into warm-ups wearing bold black tees reading, "Pay us what you owe us." A powerful message, no doubt. These women deserve better pay, more resources, charter flights. No one's arguing that. But timing matters. And when you're demanding more money while fans are dumping their tickets for half the price because the one player driving demand is sidelined, it starts to feel a little tone deaf. The optics weren't great. Not because the message was wrong, but because the moment didn't match the momentum. Think about it. The All-Star Game was supposed to be a sellout, a banner moment for the WNBA. Then Caitlin Clark's injury is announced, And within hours, ticket prices nosedive from $121 to $64. That's a confirmed 48% crash, reported by TickPick and echoed across resale sites. And while that's happening, players are taking the court in shirts demanding higher pay, while the stands are half empty. It didn't feel like a movement, it felt like a misfire. The timing was off, and fans could feel it. Social media lit up, not with debates over fair pay, but with confusion. Not should the players be paid more, but was this the moment to push that message? The league had just taken a major financial hit, and now fans were being reminded how much more expensive things could get. And somehow, all eyes are still on Caitlin Clark, the rookie who's supposed to fix everything she wasn't even part of that night. The double standard couldn't be louder. If Caitlin Clark claps back, she's labeled petty. If she stays quiet, people say she's not doing enough. But when Angel Reese constantly name-drops her for attention, that's framed as competitive fire. At this point, it doesn't feel like fair coverage. It feels like projection. And fans? They're catching on fast. They see who's stirring the pot and who's just out there hooping. But instead of reading the room, Reese doubled down. She kept the same "I'm in your city" energy, like nothing had changed. Her campaign didn't pause after Clark's injury. It cranked up. The billboard stayed up. The Instagram captions kept rolling. "Walk in your trap, take over your trap" was still the theme, even though the trap was empty. Clark wasn't there. The fans weren't there. And honestly, it started to feel like a one-person parade. And the internet? Oh, they noticed. Comment sections lit up. Words like opportunistic, tone-deaf, clout-chasing. And of course, the meme-fueled nickname that just won't die, Baby Giraffe. Memes everywhere. One analyst summed it up perfectly. Reese is shadowboxing in an empty gym. Harsh? Maybe. But also pretty accurate. Because without Clark, the whole campaign lost its punch. You can't take over someone's city when they're not even in the building. Now that the dust has settled, here's the real takeaway. Caitlin Clark isn't just another promising rookie. She's the foundation the league is starting to lean on. She's the reason ticket prices skyrocket. The reason sponsors are finally cutting real checks. The reason casual fans, new audiences, and national media are even paying attention to the WNBA in the first place. When she's on the floor, arenas sell out. When she's not, ticket prices nosedive, the buzz dies, and the party clears out. That's not just hype. It's cold, hard data. And yes, Angel Reese is cashing in. She's got endorsement deals. She's built a recognizable brand. But let's not confuse popularity with impact, because right now, only one of them is truly shifting the economics of women's basketball, and it's not Reese. That's why this whole campaign, what was supposed to be Reese's big spotlight moment, ended up falling flat. Not because the concept was wrong, but because the timing was completely off. You can't launch a takeover campaign when the person you're taking over is injured and hasn't even spoken. That's not a rivalry. That's just an attempt to go viral. And to be fair, it did go viral, just not for the reasons she wanted.